Hello everybody and welcome to another YouTube video. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my brand new office slash desk setup. Now, if you follow my channel, you've seen I've done a few videos like this. I had a setup in my old university dorm room. I had a setup in kind of this shared student house that I had with 5 other guys. Then I had a setup in my basement of my parents' house. And finally, for the first time ever, I can say that this setup is now in my house. I actually just purchased a property about a month ago. And for once, I now have my own office that is quiet, peaceful, no one running around, no music blaring or anything like that. And I'm super excited to be showing you guys this new setup. This is something I've literally been dreaming of creating, and only now have I been able to actually make it because I have my own space that I can customize completely to my liking. So anyways, with that said, let's get into the video and let me talk to you about my brand new office slash desk setup. So I just wanted to take a quick pause here and actually introduce you to a friend of mine who's probably going to be in this video. Her name is Fresca. This is my cat. She's actually been hanging out on my desk recently, and well, I figured I would give her a formal introduction to the channel because it's likely that she will be in some future videos. So anyways, apologize for the camera shake, but everyone say hi to Fresca, and hopefully we'll see her in some more videos. So we're going to dive in 1 second, but this video is actually brought to you by X-Team. So I teamed up with X-Team for this video because they are on the hunt for the perfect developer desk, and they asked me to show off my desk setup and walk through why this is just kind of the perfect environment for everything I do, specifically development. Now there's actually going to be a giveaway in the middle of this video. Some parts of my setup, X-Team is actually going to give away to you for free, and so make sure you keep watching so you actually understand how to enter that giveaway. Now, X-Team is a community of remote developers that helps companies scale their development teams. When you join X-Team, you get opportunities to work on long-term development projects for companies like Riot Games, Fox, and Coinbase. You also get $2,500 a year to use towards activities and gear that keep you energized and keep you continually growing. With that said, you can check out X-Team from the link in the description, and make sure to stay tuned so you don't miss the information about the giveaway later in this video. So now that I've gone through all of the necessary information, I'm going to start running some B-roll clips of what the office looks like, and just start by talking to you about my kind of use case and why it is that I have all of this stuff. So what I do in this office, pretty obviously, is record. That's probably the #1 thing I do, is record YouTube videos, either screencast videos, videos like this where I'm just kind of looking into a camera, and then I will probably have another angle where what I'm going to do is actually set up the camera so it faces the desk, so it's kind of at the back of the room behind me, and then I use this as kind of a nice set. So other than recording, I'm planning on doing some live streaming in the future. So I've kind of set it up such that I'm ready to live stream if I want to do that. And then of course I do development work. So any type of coding, whether that be on my Mac setup or on my Windows setup. And then you guys know I work for Algo Expert. And so all the Algo Expert work I do in here. And then finally, I do some light gaming in this setup, and that's kind of why I've chosen some of the high refresh rate monitors, keyboards, and all of that stuff that I have. So now that I've walked you through the use case, let me quickly run you through kind of the room layout in general, what I've done with this. So first of all, I had a few options in my house for rooms that I could have picked to do this in. I had the master bedroom, the first bedroom, second bedroom, and third bedroom, or second, third, and fourth, whatever you want to say. One of them was in the basement. The basement's kind of cold. I didn't want to work down there. The other bedroom was just kind of small, and it's a guest room, and so I didn't go with that. Instead, I picked this room. It's actually fairly large. It's kind of square, which I think worked nicely for the office, and just had lots of room to put this huge L desk in, and then I can put another desk at the back of the room, have lots of room to set up lights and cameras, and all of that stuff that I might do in the future. Now, I also ran custom electrical to this room, so 20 amp circuits. Electrical obviously was already ran here, but not enough to run all of the equipment that I have, especially if I'm plugging in high wattage lights. And so that's something to note. I probably would not be able to run all of this equipment unless I had ran those 20 amp circuits, or I might have, but it probably would have been a little bit risky, and I would have kind of risked tripping some of the breakers. So anyways, that's kind of the general idea behind the room. Now, as you guys can see, I have all of these lights in the room. So the lights I'm using are from the Philips Hue ecosystem. I have the LEDs. I have the Philips Hue Go lamps. That's the one you can kind of see behind me. And the ones you guys have been commenting on videos, they're kind of the most standout ones, those little circular, they're actually portable lights. And then I have some bulbs in the ceiling, so 2 Philips Hue color changing bulbs. And then I have these kind of, I don't even know how to describe them. I guess they're called light bars that are on the back of my monitor that kind of push light against the wall and give it this nice kind of ambient glow. And the great thing about this is that these lights can connect with everything. So they can connect with Google Home. I can set them up on my computer. I can change their kind of preset to show whatever it is that I want. They're fully addressable. And well, it means I can turn this room into something where it's super bright and white and really focused, or I can turn it into like a really dim light, or I can put it on this kind of aqua color that looks really nice in the videos. And so that's why I went with that, so that for my videos, I kind of had a nice background and I could decide what color I wanted to make the room. But yeah, that's the general idea behind the room. Now, the next thing to kind of talk about, I guess, is the desk. So this obviously is a massive, huge L desk, and I actually got the inspiration for this desk from another YouTuber that I'm sure many of you guys know. His name is Jay's 2 Cents. He does like computer hardware review and that kind of stuff. Anyways, I've been watching for him for a long time, and I was watching his setup tour video, and he had the IKEA Carlby countertop, and that's what I actually ended up going with. So two 98-inch IKEA Carlby countertops. They're actually not too expensive, it's about $180 Canadian, and they're really high quality. It's kind of a veneer, 1.5-inch thick, woodish kind of thing. And anyways, I think I went with, what would you call this? The walnut finish. I think it looks really nice. And then I went with 4, what are they called? Alex drawers from IKEA. I think these are about $100 each. They have a ton of storage in them. And they're actually pretty sturdy. And there's actually nothing that's fastening this desk to those drawers. So I just have 4 drawers, obviously 2 for each side of the desk. And I know anyone with OCD, it's going to be crazy when you look in the corner and you see those kind of 2 drawers beside each other. But the reason I need that is I didn't want to take a risk and just put one, because I have my PC in the corner as well as a really heavy UPS behind it. And so anyways, I wanted to have the most amount of support that I could. But the great thing about these drawers is I have just so much storage in them, and it just has the desk at kind of a perfect height. So the desk height, I think, is about 28.5 inches right now, which is great for me because I'm 5'9". I know some people put kind of little studs underneath or in between the desk and the Alex drawers to push that up. So it's another about inch and a half taller if you're someone who is taller. So that is kind of the idea behind the desk. Of course, I need to go with a big corner desk because I have 2 setups, one for the main PC and then one for the Mac. All right, so now I'm going to walk you through kind of the first setup, which is the Mac setup, and then I will move you over to the Windows setup. Now, it's worth noting that this Mac setup is kind of what I consider my secondary setup. The reason I have 2 is I have some development work that is specific to Mac and that I can only do on a Mac computer, and I run all of my audio processing and recording off of a Mac. And so I have a Mac that does that for me, the secondary setup. So anyways, I have a M1 Mac Mini. I just got this. It's brand new. I'll actually probably make a video about this in the future. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM, that new M1 processor, 8 core, and then 1 terabyte of storage. This thing is unbelievable, super snappy, super fast, and it's silent, makes 0 noise, which for me is honestly the biggest deal. I actually had a 16-inch MacBook Pro. I still have that I was using previously to do all my audio recording, but that thing was pretty loud. The fan would rev up and well, it was just not ideal. So anyways, I went with the M1 Mac, actually pretty affordable and just looks nice on the desk. Small form factor, has decent IO, and well, can run everything that I need it to run. Now I have that hooked up to a docking station, which is underneath the desk. You'll actually notice here that the cables are relatively clean. Like, I'm not claiming I'm a pro or anything, but I did a decent job at cable managing, and I ran a docking station under the desk that then connects my monitor, connects all of my peripherals, and then a few other things like, random USBs or connections that I potentially need, like my audio interface and all of that. So anyways, that is then hooked up to a 34-inch ultra-wide LG monitor. This is a 21:9 aspect ratio monitor. I did a video about this a while ago in my previous setup tour. Anyways, this is a great monitor. It allows me to pretty much just do everything on this one screen. I'll put something on 1/3 of the screen. I'll put something on 2/3 of the screen. Then there I go. I kind of have almost a 2-monitor setup in some way. And this is a 4K resolution monitor running at 60 Hertz. Okay, then other than that, I have an iPad Pro 12.9 inch. I'm kind of just including this in the Mac setup. That's what I use for all my Algo Expert work when I do the kind of whiteboarding and stuff on that iPad. So I have the Apple Pencil with that. Great device, love it. I also watch YouTube videos on it and kind of just carry it around the house, maybe read books on it as well. And yeah, that is kind of the core kind of technology and PC that's involved in that setup. Now, other than that, in terms of peripherals and kind of accessories, I have a Beats Pill. Now, this is my speaker for that setup. Nothing crazy, but, just gives me decent sound and loud enough that I can hear it if I'm not right beside the computer. Then I have a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. This is what connects my XLR microphone, which is the Shure SM7B, which I'll discuss later. And that allows Logic Pro, which I run on my M1 Mac Mini, to actually record this microphone. Then I have a laptop and iPad holder. So as you guys can see, the kind of Mac and the iPad are situated in this kind of vertical holder, which I think looks really nice and keeps things very organized. And then I'm using the DAS keyboard 4Q. So this is just a keyboard from DAS Keyboard. I've used it for about 2 years, and I put it on my secondary setup because I have a keyboard that I prefer on my main one, which I'll discuss later. Then I am using the Logitech MX Master version 2 or Pro or something, whatever like the new version of it is. I really like these Logitech mice. I have the version 1, and then I just picked up the version 2 for this second setup. And then I use some headphones as well with this setup. So I have a Bose Quiet Comfort Q something headset headphones. And yeah, that's kind of almost everything there. So last thing to mention in that setup, I have a Screen Bar Plus. This is something that goes on top of the monitor and kind of shines light downward, so over top of the screen of the monitor. This actually makes it much easier to look at the monitor for long periods of time. It also illuminates the desk surface, so if you're like writing something on paper or you just want to see the keyboard easier if it doesn't light up or something, works well. And then that you can adjust the color temperature of the light as well as the brightness. Okay, and then all of this stuff is obviously connected through the kind of crazy cable management going on underneath the desk. So what I did to do this cable management is I bought these Raceway cable channels. These things are awesome. They made it so much easier. They're things that you just stick under the desk and you can kind of stick cables in them. I think they're about a foot long each. And then I got some cable clips that helped clip some of the cables up under the desk so they don't hang down. And then of course, just cable wraps and cable ties. And yeah, I was able to clean everything up pretty nicely and then combine that with some 3M tape to mount something like the docking station underneath the desk. And yeah, we're good to go. The cables look pretty nice. So that is kind of the Mac setup. I'm sure I probably missed some stuff there, but that's the things I can remember and that are most likely pretty important. Now let's move over to the Windows side. All right, so now move over to the triple monitor setup with kind of the big Windows PC, and I'll actually start by discussing the hardware in that PC. So I love building computers and building PCs. This is a custom built computer, and a lot of the stuff in here I totally don't need. I'm just a tech nerd, and so I went out and bought it. And anyways, in this computer, I have an RTX 3090, so NVIDIA's kind of top of the line newest graphics card. I have a Ryzen 9 3900X. I have 64 gigabytes of DDR4 3200 megahertz RAM. This is running on an MSI Godlike motherboard, so on the X570 chipset for AMD. I then have a PCIe capture card so that I can capture the footage from my camera here. This is a 4K capture card so that I can capture 4K footage as well. I have a 10 gigabit LAN port or LAN card or Ethernet card, whatever you want to call it. And then I have 2 times 2 terabyte NVMe PCI 4 SSDs. And these are what I used for just running my main OS, running any video games off of. And then I have a third SSD, just a regular SSD, not NVMe or anything like that, that runs my dual boot into Ubuntu in case I need to do anything on a Linux machine. So that kind of makes up the computer. I then obviously have all the RGB fans, the water cooling, and all that other stuff that I don't really need to discuss. And finally, in case you're wondering, this computer has an 1000-watt power supply in it. All right, so now let's move over to the actual monitors and kind of core setup where I work probably 80 to 90% of the time. So I have 3 times BenQ 27-inch, 144 hertz, 2K resolution monitors. I was going to go with 4K monitors, but I already had 2 of these BenQ monitors, and so I didn't want to buy another 3 monitors instead of just adding 1 more monitor to the 2 that I already had. And gaming in 2K is actually pretty good. Like I can game in over 144 FPS in most games in 2K, whereas if I went to 4K, I wouldn't be able to get 144 hertz in most games, even with this crazy GPU. So anyways, that's kind of the logic. These monitors are also really nice in terms of just like working on them. They have a lot of different kind of color preferences, and they have this like eye care thing that changes the brightness and temperature of the screen based on like the ambient lighting. That's just, whatever BenQ's marketing is. I can't back that up. That's just what they say. And then obviously these are floating monitors. So I have all three of them wall mounted, and then I have one of them vertically mounted because I kind of use that as my documentation screen. So when I'm coding, I like to have kind of two main monitors and then one screen that I can use to actually just look up documentation. And if it's really long, I find that's helpful because most documentation, right, is kind of in like a vertical format, and I don't want to read all the way across the monitor. I would rather read vertically. Now, of course, first world problems, but that is why I decided to go with a vertical monitor because yes, I could have put this into kind of those three long panels, but since these monitors are 27 inches, that just takes up so much room on the desk, and I just thought this was going to be a better choice. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you about the webcam that I use. So this is a C922X Logitech 1080p webcam, and this is actually a part of the giveaway from X-Team. So as I said at the beginning of the video, X-Team is going to be running a giveaway on this video for 1 week. Now the items they're going to be giving away are the webcam that I just showed you, so this 1080p Logitech webcam, and then a brand new microphone. So this is a Blue Yeti USB microphone. Now unfortunately I don't have one of these in my setup right now, but I use this microphone for about 3 years. You can go and watch any of my YouTube videos, probably from about a year ago, and you'll see that that is the microphone that I was using. Super high quality, sounds great, and I figured with you guys being work from home and wanting to set up streaming or YouTube videos or whatever it is that you want to do, having a high quality webcam and high quality microphone would be great. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. If you want to enter the giveaway, what you need to do is use the hashtag XTeamLife. So leave a comment with that hashtag, again, XTeamLife, and then in a week, X-Team will pick a winner for the giveaway and they will send you those items. Anyways, thanks again to X-Team for sponsoring this video. Again, check them out from the link in the description. Now, let me explain the rest of the setup. And so the next item to discuss in my setup is the BenQ e-reading lamp. Now this lamp is something that you can adjust the color temperature and brightness of. It's anti-glare and meant to kind of hang over your monitor. Again, the point of it is to give you adequate lighting when you're looking at the monitor screen. And honestly, I can say this makes a pretty big difference. When I don't have this lamp and I'm working on a computer, I definitely notice it, and I always prefer to have this on and just overhanging the monitor. It's just kind of a nice light, and I've just really gotten used to working with it over the years. And so moving on, I have a camera mount here as well as 2 lights. So I use this setup to record. I mean, this is what I'm shooting this kind of A-roll in that you guys can see right now. I have one nice high-powered light on the left, another one on the right. The one on the right is kind of mounted to my monitor. I did some fancy, I want to call it engineering to get it to actually stick up there. The other one's obviously sitting on a tripod. I have remote controls for both of these. And yeah, I just, turn them on when I want to record. Other than that, I have 2 really nice speakers. So my audio game in terms of like actual monitors and output had been really weak for many years. And I do a lot of, high quality recording to the point where I need high quality monitors to really hear what the sound actually sounds like. And so these 2 speakers are KEF LSX wireless speakers. I don't know too much about them other than they sound really good. They're both amplified, they both plug in, and we have the master and then the slave speaker, and those actually don't need to be connected. They can connect wirelessly. Now, both of those connect to my audio interface. The audio interface I'm using is the Audient ID14. Now, this is just a really high quality audio interface that has pretty good preamps in it. And so I connect my Shure SM7B to this interface as well as the interface to my Mac. And the way I do that is I have an audio splitter. So I actually amplify the signal of the Shure SM7B through what is known as a cloud lifter. This lifts the gain of the microphone, which is really low by default, by 20 decibels. Then I put that into a splitter. The splitter then splits the signal to both of my interfaces so I can use this mic to record audio as well as to kind of, be on a video chat or live stream or whatever at the same time. And so anyways, that's kind of the setup. And then obviously this interface does the output for my monitors and any headphones or anything that I plug into it. So yeah, that is kind of the basics, I guess, of the audio setup. I also have a Rode PSA-1 mic stand that's holding this Shure SM7B. And then other than that, I have a few random things, like I have AirPods and a wireless charger. I have a USB hub that's kind of sitting in front of me in case I want to plug in an SD card or whatever other USB peripherals I have, like maybe a PS4 controller or something. And then finally, obviously, all the cable management is underneath the desk. A little bit messy, but kind of the best that I could do. I'm not a professional at this. And I also pre-ran, some cables in case I need to plug in like another USB-C device or anything like that. So that kind of concludes the triple monitor big PC setup. Now I'll talk about a few random items that I have. So first of all, the chair. I'm using a Herman Miller Aeron chair. I bought this used, brand new. These things retail for like almost $2,000 Canadian. So I actually managed to find one that was $800, which was a pretty good deal. And this is the classic version of the Herman Miller Aeron chair. It's genuinely like reshaped my back since I've been sitting in it because I used to use a gaming chair. Other than that, I have a closet kind of in my room. I have maybe like a shelf organizer kind of unit where I just have a bunch of random crap, mostly cables and kind of camera equipment and stuff that sometimes I need, but that I don't need too often. And anyways, I just store it in there, kind of throw it wherever. Then I have this kind of ottoman that my cat sits on. So there's like a little blanket I put there, and she'll sit there because she's living with me for the next few months and anyways likes to bug me in my office. Then I set up, a cat tree and some things for her that of course she decides to just never use. And yeah, that's really all that I can think of. I guess the last thing I'll mention is the YouTube plaque that I have on the wall. Obviously, that is thanks to you guys. So massive thank you to everyone, of course, who's subscribed to the channel and has helped me achieve this, because without you guys, I would not be able to afford any of this equipment, would not have this plaque, and well, I wouldn't be in this position. So I think this is a good point to wrap up this video. The last thing I'll say is I know a lot of you guys watch this and you think I'm just trying to, flex and brag to you about all the stuff that I have. This is something that I've worked a very long time to get. This isn't something I just went out and bought. All of this stuff I paid for myself. This is run through my business. And well, I started recording on a 13-inch MacBook Air back in, what was this, 2015, 2016. Took me almost a year to save up to actually buy a better computer and a microphone. And then from there, many years to accumulate all of this equipment and eventually be able to build this kind of dream setup. So anyways, that's just what I wanted to say. This has not all come in one day. I didn't just go buy all of this stuff like yesterday and then set it all up. This has been years and years of accumulating equipment, buying assets, and of course, all of this is through the business. It's a lot different than buying this all personally. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment letting me know what you think of this setup. And of course, I'll see you guys in another YouTube video.